And now we move on to our final segment of the program for today. It is my pleasure to now invite to the stage Ms. Natalia Rialuki, Deputy Chair of the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market, Indonesia Chamber of Commerce, Kadin, Sustainability Group, to provide the session's closing remarks. Ms. Natalia, if I could welcome you to the stage.
Thank you, Karen. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, partners, fellow advocates of sustainability. My name is Ria. I am the founder and CEO of Fair Atmos, a Southeast Asia's leading climate technology company focused on scaling up nature-based solutions. And I am also the deputy chair of the Asian Alliance on Carbon Market, or AACM. For those who hesitate, yes, I am 9 months pregnant, but in a way I decide that this speech will be very worth the risk of the babies popping up anytime. So I'll make sure it's worth your time. It is an honor to address you today, and I'm grateful to the opportunity to share this moment as we draw this insightful event to a close. Some of the key takeaways that I've heard and I would love to share with you as also what would be the path ahead on sustainable financing in Indonesia. Indonesia holds a critical role to be the poster child for sustainable development in emerging countries. With the GDP growth of over 5.3% per year and population of more than 279 million people, and tree covers spanning more than 200 million hectares with the popular nickname of being the world's lung, it is a daunting task to realize how developing a great economy can be balanced with prolonging the planet's livelihood. And Indonesia is taking action. From the first panelist, we already have heard that the energy sector, that the country is committed to have new and renewable energy of at least 31% in the mix by 2050 on its primary energy supply. On the second panelist, we also have heard that forestry and land use sector would generate for more than 200 million tons of potential greenhouse gas emission sequestration by 2030 alone. And in total, as already been announced by IDX Carbon late last year, and also from the fellow colleagues from IDX Carbon Trading as well, that Indonesia has the potential to reduce the equivalent of more than 38 billion tons of greenhouse gas emission. At the ASEAN Alliance of Carbon Markets, or AACM, we believe in the ripple effect. The success of one country in achieving sustainable development could be the trigger and the playbook for other countries to do the same. That is why in 2023, the ASEAN Summit, where the ASEAN leaders launched the AACM initiatives as a platform for private players to learn from one another beyond the borders of countries. AACM is built to form a dialogue and bridge to collaborate between public sectors as well as private sectors to unlock the potential of carbon markets as one of the vehicles to balance between economic growth and environmental sustainability. Now, with a growing more than 40 members across the ASEAN region, the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Markets strive to continue providing platforms and learning opportunities across carbon supply generation, demand assurance, and the development of infrastructure and enablers. The success of Southeast Asia, and particularly Indonesia, sustainable development hinges on innovative and substantial financing, which is another astounding task on its own. As you have heard from both panelists, just to give you an example, Southeast Asia, with just 1% of the world's total land area, holds a remarkable 30% of the global carbon offset supply by 2030. But to unlock this potential, it will require no less than 7.5 billion alone. Another report by Temasek also summarized that $1.5 trillion is needed to fund Southeast Asia's energy transition and green transition by 2030. Yet, to date, there is only 45 billion in cumulative investments from both public and private sources have been made since 2021. It is a big task. And from what we have heard from the panelists as well, typical shyness of investors looking at this sustainable development investment, once again, is always to the word risk. Honestly, I would put all of my money if there's any investment that doesn't have any risk. But specifically for sustainable projects and sustainable development, let's decipher what is the risk that we're talking about here. It is difficult for one type of investment vehicle to take on a risk across a sustainable or a green project's life cycle. The investment can be very high in the beginning, the payback can be very slow on the long term. That's why if we leverage a variety of financing mechanisms with different risk appetites, it might probably be possible. And when we talk about risk, we also have to address its twins, returns. Traditional metrics, such as internal rate of return, often fail to capture the true value of sustainable projects, such as the value of nature and how much is actually the benefit that we're bringing to the community. I thank the second row of panelists to highlight this topic as well. Right now, the only way we value nature is at the value of the threat posed towards it. If there's a tree that will be cut from a palm oil plantation or any timber logging activity, then you say, hey, that tree can probably generate 1 ton of carbon credit, and that's $5, right? 1 ton of greenhouse gas emission reduction right now is priced between maybe $2 to $20 in some market. But is it really only worth that much? When without the air that is produced from our forest, we can't barely do anything. Is the air and the earth that we live in actually worth cheaper than 1 meal of lunch in Senopati area, for example? So that's how we have to redefine and think about the concept of return as the opposite of risk. The conversations we've had today highlight the critical intersection of finance, policy, and environmental stewardship, emphasizing the urgency for Indonesia's transition to sustainable development. To realize this potential, we need continued support from investment from all sectors, governments, businesses, investors, and civil society. So as we live today, and I'm reaching my 5 minutes point and some oxygen left in my lung, there are 3 things that I would like you to take away from this session when we start thinking about our next investment. Number 1, sum of parts. The value of all combined is more than each one as an individual. Combine different investment vehicles, grants, equity, debt. It might be the solution to amplify impact from sustainable projects that has different risk appetite in its life cycle. It is not a 1-year, 2-year flip returns. It could be a 10, 20, 30, 40 years return, and that is why different types of financing vehicle have to work together in each different life cycle stages. Equity alone can probably achieve great things, but a mix of funding sources can have far great longer term impact. Number 2, let's redefine what is return. Let's try to figure out how to quantify environmental and social impact as a part of our internal rate of return, not just from financial performance. After all, there is no good use of money if we don't have any planet to live in. And number 3, be the first drop of water to create the ripple effect. Take bold steps to make the first investment and create more success stories. This will inspire others and demonstrate that sustainable projects can deliver financial, environmental, and social benefits. Let us remember that the journey towards sustainability is continuous. It requires perseverance, collaboration, and innovation. Let us carry forward the momentum from today's discussion and turn our ideas into action. Together, we can unlock the capital needed to build a sustainable Indonesia, ensuring a brighter future for all. And that is also what AACM here just to do that. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you all have a great session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ria, for that remarkable closing remarks. It's definitely worth delivering with 9 months pregnant. Thank you so much. No pun intended. Thank you so much once again. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the closing of our event. Thank you all so very much for joining us today for such a wonderful afternoon of great conversations. Once again, we'd like to extend a thank you to our partners, the United Nations Environment Programme Finance Initiative, our strategic partner, the Jakarta Investment Festival 2024 Siemens Energy, our supporting partner, OCBC, Knowledge and Outreach Partners, Center for Asian Philanthropy and Society, the International Finance Cooperation, and the Asia Investor Group on Climate Change. A big thank you as well to all our speakers, panelists, moderators, guests, the amazing EB team. This event would not have been possible without all of you. Thank you for joining us today once again for our event, Unlocking Capital for Sustainability, Integrating Sustainable Finance, a Nation in Transition here in Jakarta, Indonesia. Once again, if you haven't already done so, please take a minute now to scan the Commute QR code on your lanyard and let us know how you came to this event, so that eco-business can take this into account in its carbon emissions accounting. Eco-business's next Unlocking Capital for Sustainability event will be hosted in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia on the 24th of July, Manila, the Philippines on August 14th, and thereafter the main summit will take place in Singapore on September 12th, followed by the virtual China Summit and October in Thailand. Do join us for those events if you happen to be in those countries at that time. With that being said, I would like to invite all of you now to continue the conversations with some refreshments and foods that we have provided during our networking sessions. Once again, we'd like to say thank you and have a lovely end to the week.